Hello, everyone. Dr. Benjamin here, founder of Live for Yourself Consulting, guiding others to create a career that they can love. And I am pumped to welcome Kailey Donewald to the stage today. She is the founder and CEO of Sacred Serve, which is a plant-powered, adaptogen-packed gelato. That is, say that like 7 times fast. I may have some issues. That is focused on adding function into the frozen aisle. Plus, I hope we touch on it a little bit. She also just made some huge moves in the sustainable packaging arena. I did not know that in this space that wasn't a thing. I was like looking for the recyclable symbol on these packages in my freezer, and it's like, what? Oh, okay. I need to know more about this. But so Kailey is also a certified holistic health practitioner and wellness advocate. She spent years, like over a decade, traveling and living in places all around the world, studying under leading practitioners in the fields of yoga, meditation, Eastern medicine, and alternative therapies. It's actually where she first discovered the powerful connection between diet and disease, which I hope we really talk about today, because that was important in my own journey as well. So let's welcome her to the stage. I've been talking way too much. Hi, Kailey.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Really excited to have you here. I don't know if you know this about me, but I am I got my start as an entrepreneur in the CPG industry, and it's always been a field that I've been passionate about, but I've been passionate about it because of my interest in health and nutrition and fitness based on my athletic background and such. So I was like, I can become a better athlete if I focus on my nutrition. I don't know how I made that connection when I was a kid, because it didn't seem like it wasn't really there. It was for high school kids when it came to athletics. But, can you give us a little bit more of a background on how you made that connection between health and food?
Yeah, absolutely. So growing up, I suffered really severe cases of both asthma and allergies. And that was something that every doctor and specialist I saw told me that I was just born with and would need medicine for the rest of my life. And so we're talking steroid inhalers, allergy shots every week. I even had surgeries to remove parts of my nose and throat so that I could breathe better and stop getting sick basically every weekend. And so flash forward to 25 years later, I was traveling around India and Indonesia, and I embarked on just a 2-week raw food cleanse, essentially just eating fresh fruits and vegetables for about 2 weeks. And within that time period, my body completely healed itself of both of those conditions, as well as a bunch of other things like eczema and chronic fatigue and all of that. So that was really my first foray into understanding just how powerful our diets are in connection with some of these more chronic conditions that I genuinely was believing that I was just born with at the time.
And I want to back up a second, because I don't think everyone just says, I'm going to go travel the world. So where did that idea come from?
Yeah, it started originally when I was working in consulting. My friend at the time had quit her job and was doing kind of an around the world trip. And she knew that I was really starting to get interested in yoga. So she was like, listen, I'm going to stop off in India. I'm going to do this teacher training program and get certified over there, and wondered if you would want to join me. And so when she said that, I was feeling like pretty burnt out at work and just knew that I was looking for a big change and that this was it. So I said, instantly, yes, I will be there, whether I have to quit my job or do a bunch of different things. I will absolutely make that happen. So that was kind of the first big trip abroad. Yeah.
I don't want to undermine that decision, because I think that a lot of people go through this turning point of, I'm working in a career that is overworking me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm really the one that's choosing to overwork myself. And what was the trigger to say, yes, I want to, something needs to happen, something needs to change within when you were working?
Yeah, I think, I started to just feel really run down, and I was traveling every week. So there was just this grind of flying out either Sunday night or Monday morning and coming back Friday. And I was just losing a bunch of time, losing sleep, just really feeling like I was kind of not in control of everything that I was doing at the time. And so when this opportunity came, I had this feeling inside that I needed a change, and something wasn't working, but I felt so overwhelmed being in all of it at the time to really gain the clarity and the step back needed to even figure out what that next step would be. So when she presented this, the only thing that really kept resonating with me was that this is going to be such a different experience than anything I've ever done before. And so I'm sure that by doing this, I'll be able to have both a little time and space, but also just a new awareness and understanding of maybe what could be next for myself.
Mm-hmm. And what was nutrition like in your life then? What were you avoiding certain foods? Was it just like, let's go to the local fast food joint because I'm traveling so much?
Yeah.
Were you making quinoa in your kitchen, in your extended stay or something? What was going on?
Yeah, I think I wasn't super focused on it. So I ended up having a bunch of food sensitivities that I didn't know about at the time. So I was pretty much just eating whatever. And I think really I saw food more as just, okay, if you eat a bunch, you gain, more of like a weight flux scenario around food and not the true benefits of why that's even here to fuel us. So I did get kind of a brief exposure to it. I was on a project in New York, and I remember being more stressed out than I had ever been on any project before. Stress is not always rational. So it was a very irrational level of anxiety that I was having at this job, but it was there nonetheless. And for whatever reason, I decided to do like a 5-day juice cleanse just through like Blueprint or something in New York. I think just out of curiosity. And I vividly remember 3 days into that juice cleanse, you're really just drinking those juices. You're not eating real food or whole foods. I remember sitting down at my desk and having this overwhelming sense of calm, like rush over me, and had very rational thoughts. I was like, okay, well, this is kind of stressful, but I have 12 hours to get it done. Someone's going to review this work before it goes to the client. This isn't the end of the world, whatever. And I was able to just sit down and do that work. The only change was that I was on a juice fast. And so it really started to get my mind calculating around, why do I not have stress when I'm on a juice fast? Like, what is going on internally that is giving me this feeling when all I've really done is change my diet? So the first kind of, planted seed that maybe there's something further here. But overall, I really wasn't focused on that.
Yeah, there's something about juice cleanses that I just have such a hard time. Like, I know, okay, I get the benefit, but it's like, I really don't want to just drink my food for a bit. Like, I'll do anything else. Like, I will do anything else. So then before, like, looking back, before Sacred Serve, and we'll get into also your coaching practice, were you ever an entrepreneur? Were you ever like, one day I'm going to start a business, one day I'm not going to work for somebody else?
Yeah, I think it's not something that I necessarily had in my mind like growing up, but as I did become a young adult, that was something that entered my radar. I think actually one of my friends had a close friend who had started her own jewelry company, and I can vividly remember thinking like, wow, that sounds cool, to be your own boss, to create your own destiny and do all of that. And so, I was very interested in that. I did the health coaching, which was kind of a first step in that direction. I looked into starting a co-working space at one point with one of my friends. But ultimately, really gave it the gas with Sacred Serve.
It's interesting to me because sometimes, as like entrepreneurs, this desire to become an entrepreneur can just come like in an instant, or it can be this, I like the world through this. I mean, you were consulting, so you had that innovative kind of strategic mindset of finding solutions to problems, but it was like you just needed to find a problem maybe that you cared enough about. And so, okay, so you go away, you go overseas, and you quit your job or just ask for a sabbatical? Like, how did that work?
Yeah, so I was just on sabbatical at this time. I spent about a month and a half in India, and then on the back end of that trip went down to Bali, which is where I did that raw food cleanse. And so, at the time, that was my first time to Bali. That was my first time having this kind of health awakening. And ironically enough, throughout that trip, I call it synchronicity, but a handful of people that I came across had mentioned this one nutrition school, and it's worldwide. So people from all over the world can do it because it's online. And I just thought that was really interesting that I had heard that a couple times. And then when I went through this juice fast, it really motivated me to start targeting the root cause of what's going on here, and just kind of recognizing that no doctor ever asked about my diet, and that was actually what it was. Felt like more people need to know this. So yeah, I was on sabbatical at that time, but then came back and ended up negotiating kind of a part-time schedule with my consulting job, and went back to school part-time as well.
That is so powerful. Okay, so anyone listening that is maybe unsure if their job is right for them or is burnt out, you have the opportunity to ask for a sabbatical. You have the opportunity to negotiate a part-time rate while you do other things. I don't think that's talked about enough, the ability to really curate the type of work that you want for yourself. And it can happen. You're an example of that. So you negotiate this part-time work, this work contract or such, and you're going to school. Are you taking it online? Are you going back overseas?
I was taking it online. So doing school online part-time, continuing the role also part-time. And then really at that point in time, which was kind of my first step, I had the goal of creating my own health coaching practice. And really, I wanted to move back to Bali and do it all remotely and kind of live that digital nomad lifestyle, to continue to immerse myself in the wellness culture that I saw that was just exploding over there. It's kind of one of the, other yoga capitals, and there's just all this alternative therapies going on there. The goal was really to transition away from that corporate job and build up enough clients that would allow me to support myself while living abroad.
Okay. And so we're probably fast forwarding a bit, but you end up moving. And is this because you already have like a fully bustling coaching practice, or because you're like, I'm just going to move and I have a couple clients and I'll make it work and I'll grow it?
That's a great question. And this is a very common thing people do. I was waiting for that perfect moment of like, okay, I need 7 clients paying this much every month on 6 months contracts so that I have guaranteed 6-month income coming through my clients at this rate, and then I can move abroad. And that's just a very difficult thing to organize all at once because people roll on and off of these programs. So that was an awareness booster for myself that there's never going to be that perfect time to move abroad. At some point, you have to take on a little bit of risk to get there. So I wound up doing the clients, but also pulling in another kind of part-time remote job, which was doing CPG sales for one of my friend's health food companies. So kind of learning the ropes there. And that was something that I could also make calls from wherever. So I was able to do that abroad.
How synchronous. It's like, I'm interested in health, and now my friend has a company in the CPG space, and I'm getting experience there and exposure and learning more about it, seeing if it sparks more passion. I'm working with clients on health because I see the direct relationship with food. I'm seeing it for myself as well as for them. And I just need to go take that leap. I figured out a way to make enough money, and it all relates to my values. So important, right? It's not one thing. You can have multiple income streams to fill you up and basically help you reach your goals. So then you move and you're there and you're working both jobs. You're sitting on a hammock next to the ocean, I don't know, eating a raw food diet. Like where do we go from here? How does this evolve?
Yeah, it was the dream. I would say making US dollars and leveraging that abroad, I was able to afford. I mean, massages over there could be like $5 for a 1-hour massage, and you could do all of these cool treatments. So it was just a very accessible way to eat out every single meal, have this fresh, raw vegan cuisine, and explore all of that. So at a time where you're starting a business and you don't have any money, that was a really good option, I would say, of a way to be able to do it. But essentially what happened was, I was there for a handful of months and coaching was great, but I felt like after talking to all these people one-on-one and really understanding the nuanced concerns that they're having around their health and where the frustrations lie, we were having these really powerful results and people were weaning themselves off medication. But it ended up just feeling like, this information is so powerful. Like there's the food industry, there's the medical industry, they're kind of working hand in hand, and people are continuously stuck being sick without really getting to the root cause of it. So I essentially just felt like my work one-on-one was not having enough of an impact. Like I need to tell more people. And so that's when I started to think about creating a product that could go a lot farther and wider than I ever could. And if I could make that product carry the mission that I want to be talking about, then we could really create this platform and share this education a lot farther and wider. So that was kind of the first idea for, okay, maybe it should be a product. And then living in Bali at the time helped me kind of discover this young coconut meat, which is what we use for our base for all flavors.
So before I became an entrepreneur, I almost launched a CPG product. I eventually launched a supplement later on. But most coaches, when they think of products, are like, how do I create an online course?
Right.
How do I write a book? Can I write a journal, which I wrote? So, when you were thinking of what sort of product do I want to make, like, was it, I should make a product because I want to spread my message and I want to make an impact? Or was it, you saw an opportunity and then said, oh, that could be a product? Like, because it sounds like.
Yeah, actually, it was kind of both. I think it was the product idea first, just knowing that what I was working on at that time, I am business minded, and I felt like this is going to be really hard to scale. And so I think naively, I felt like scaling a product would be easier. It's not. But I was just thinking like, I can just make a ton of product and just sell it, and that'll be a lot easier than kind of navigating online. But it was kind of that in combination with discovering this young coconut meat and seeing what chefs were doing with it abroad and recognizing that this isn't something that really exists in the US, or it didn't at that time, and feeling like this is this incredibly innovative and nutrient dense ingredient that we could do a bunch of things with.
Well, I was recently overseas and they had like coconut chips. And it was like, wow, these are amazing. And my body feels great eating them in comparison to corn chips and things like that. And there are so many good ideas all around us. We just need to pay attention, travel around and say, why isn't this here? Like it has a direct health benefit, but why not coconut chips? Why not coconut? I don't know. I can't think of anything. Coconut jerky, because that's a thing. Like, let's. And I've seen your product. I've read a bit about your product. It seems a lot harder to make than any of these other things. So, what led you to the frozen aisle?
Yeah, that is true. So I would say from a nutrition standpoint, it's great that we sit in the frozen aisle because we can kind of do all of this cold crafting and have this high level of nutrient density without such a short shelf life. So like you get the fresh juices, if they're unpasteurized and raw, it's really going to be 2 to 3 days. And so giving us space in the freezer allows us to really extend that and help our operations. But really the biggest reason is that my friend who runs this other health food company has also lived in Bali for quite some time and started experimenting with ice cream recipes. And so we got together and kind of thought, I'm looking for this product. I have a dairy sensitivity. This would really be in line with what I'm looking to do. Is that something we think we can kind of continue to work on and refine and get it to a level where we could really commercialize that here?
So you're working as a coach and all of a sudden you start having conversations about a product. Were you super gung-ho about the idea right away? Did it take some time to build up?
I was all in, right from the start. I think I had returned back from Bali because my grandparents got sick. So I was temporarily back home. And then that got a little bit extended and I started to really think, okay, well, if I'm going to be back in Chicago, I have time now to just really go full force into something new and exciting and keep me excited about being here versus in Bali. I really went all in and from the early iterations of what the product was, I could tell that this is such a great alternative. And this was 5 years ago. So in looking at the ice cream category, there was virtually no innovation at the time. The only thing I was seeing was just a slight shift to non-dairy, but still filled with harmful ingredients, refined sugars, processed oils, and all of that. I just felt like here is this product that can cut through all of that and deliver nutrient density in a category that is so historically just harmful and indulgent that, this is such a win-win across the board that it is worth investing my time into.
Yeah, I'm dairy-free. And if I try any of the dairy-free options in the ice cream aisle that's not yours, my body rejects it. It hates it. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, okay, so I have, it's two evils. Which one do I want? And so I love what you created. But so you come back and you're all in. So, but you have 2 revenue streams right now, and one probably non-generating revenue, an idea, and that idea probably isn't something that works like is going to generate revenue right away. So what happens right now in your work life? Do you drop any of those things? Like how soon do you start earning money in the sacred surf space?
Yeah, not quite some time in the Secret Service. So yeah, I had always kept that sales job on the side. It was kind of nice to.
Let's wait one sec. I actually just, it's breaking up a little bit. I'm not sure if it's me or you. Just wait one sec. There we, I think we're back.
You got it. Okay. Yeah. So I had continued to hold that sales job at the time as I was building this up, which was my main source of income at that time. The reason that I even got involved in that in the first place is because that can develop a rather robust passive income stream, because you get commission on orders and reorders. So once I kind of established an account, whenever they reordered, I would just get the money on that, regardless of if I'm the one actually calling them or not. So that was very attractive to me. I think I had read Timothy Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week and was just thinking about all the different ways I could really incorporate more passive income streams into my life. I also own a condo that I rent out and make a little bit through that as well. But I would say the biggest thing that I did was just shift my lifestyle like completely. I went from living alone in my own condo to living with 4 roommates in a $200 a month bedroom under the stairs. And I still live in that apartment building. And so, I cut down on a lot of things. And I think there's kind of a social conditioning that you need to shed. There's ego parts of yourself that you need to shed. I went back and started working at a juice bar for an hourly rate. And so coming from consulting to being an hourly employee is just a shift in your own mind that you have to get comfortable with. So yeah, I have really been, it's totally been a grind, but I would say the 2 biggest things were passive income streams and really just reducing the expenses in my day-to-day life.
Once again, I think you're just dropping bombs of knowledge, because it's like either you have 2 choices as an entrepreneur, at least in my mind. It's if you want to go all in with an idea, you need to change your lifestyle and create new revenue streams. Because that all in means like potentially you're going to be quicker to market, quicker to whatever occurs. You're going to learn more. So quicker to failure to then leads to the greater success. But if you don't want to do that, if you want to keep your same lifestyle, you need to hire somebody, or you need to accept that it's going to take you a lot longer than it probably would have if you were able to go all in.
Right.
So, okay, let's speed up, because like success, you're crushing it, and now you have this product. And so can you reveal a little bit more about like, what's shifted from your life and mindset from when you were consulting to after this whole journey now, where you are a full-fledged CEO, founder, and entrepreneur?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from a mindset perspective, I'd say that it's just been very interesting having to take on everything. So at work, I just think back to my consulting days and I'm like, why was I even stressed out then? Because this is a whole new level of stress where it's like, I used to get paid all the time, no matter what I did. It didn't affect what I was getting paid and, all the things. Now what I find is so interesting is just the complex layers of not only am I having to do all of this work myself, and that spans everything from finance and accounting to hiring and HR and sourcing production equipment, but I also have to be my own boss and figure out what I even need to be doing. So it's not just the work, it's the figuring out what work needs to be done and how to manage all of that. And so going through like tremendous seasons of overwhelm, I would say the biggest thing I'm focused on these days actually is self-care and stress management and recovery, because as such an ambitious person that has really been sacrificing a ton on the personal front, it's very easy to get run down, and I did get into trouble in that way. And so just recognizing that recovery is also work, and taking time away is equally as important as being on. And I think it's really easy for entrepreneurs to work 7 days a week, and I did that for 2 years. Just recognizing that I need to be very clear about boundaries with my time so that I can continue to really function at my optimal level, which is not something that I would say I had last year.
Yeah, I think this can happen if you work for someone full time and you define yourself by your work, and so you don't have boundaries.
Yeah.
And it's just exacerbated and exaggerated when you're the CEO and have an endless list of things to do, because there's no clocking in and clocking out. There's no the end of a project. It's literally, this is a never-ending, unlimited supply of, I think, passion and motivation, which if you get too much in the weeds can kind of decrease dramatically. But what I don't think a lot of people understand when they truly find something that they love to do, which it sounds like this is, you love to do, is that it's never supposed to be enough. It's like never supposed to be, you're never supposed to get to the bottom of the carton, so to speak, right? Because this is the thing that you connect to. So you have to choose when to say, okay, I've done enough, I feel successful. And what does that look like? What does success look like to you on a daily basis?
And it's funny, coming into the business, I would have said, well, easily success would be getting our product into Whole Foods. Like, that would be success with this business. And as that milestone has come and gone,
we're breaking up a little bit again. So let's pause for 1 second and see. I'm going to close. Just wait 1 sec. Yeah, you're still kind of blurry on my side. Do I look good?
Yeah, you do.
Okay, 1 sec. Sorry. Okay, can you answer that again for me, please?
Yeah. So I would say starting the company early on, I would have had success as getting into Whole Foods. And so as that milestone kind of came and went, I think it's become more clear the further I get into this that success is actually having more freedom in time. So that was always a big goal for me. Success equals freedom in time, money, and location. And so definitely really working hard towards financial freedom for myself. I think that's been one of the biggest, slowest pieces of this business, has been paying myself, feeling, confident on that piece of it. But certainly there is freedom in time right now, being your own boss. You can run your own schedule, and all of those things have been really important to me. But at the end of the day, I think, success is being able to build something that you're really proud of, getting to work with the people that inspire you, get to pick who you work with, just having a lot more autonomy over what I'm doing on a daily basis and what I'm learning is hands down a success.
I like what you said about financial freedom, by the way, because I think a lot of people think financial freedom is, well, one, they don't put a number on it. Mm-hmm. And so, put a number on it, mm-hmm. Actually have a specific number, but it really isn't about how much you earn. It's more about how much you save and how much you spend. And you don't just need to curate money from one income stream, like you were saying, how you've tried to create different ones as well. But there's this mental sometimes expectation of, I need to be here because I see these people here. And I don't know, I can admit that I've done that as an entrepreneur. And so how have you, can you expand a little bit more on this idea of financial freedom? Because you also have investors, I believe.
Yeah, right.
And so I think it's more complicated than just I need this money in my bank account.
Yeah, definitely. I would say from a business standpoint, it's to become profitable and really get to a position where we're not relying on others for capital. And for myself, very similarly, not relying so heavily on one specific thing to bring in money, whether that's diversifying through different investments or other income streams or whatever that looks like you're saying, just spending less than we're bringing in and finding good ways to save and really put that money to use. But yeah, I would say that I don't know if I really learned the value of a dollar until I started this business. People talk about that growing up, and parents will be hard on you. You don't know the value, go get a job. But truly, I would say that this is the first time that I really, understood exactly how much work is required to even bring in any money through this business. And I'm the last person to get paid. So, it's been years of sacrificing that piece of it. But, it's a risk reward scenario of just thinking that years of sacrifice could lead to some level of financial success in the future.
And anyone listening that knows people that own a business, every time you ask for free product, please understand how much money this costs. It is not cheap, and how much it costs to actually, run a business in itself. So I am a huge proponent of supporting your local businesses or even your local business owner friends. And just please keep that in mind when you're ever going to ask somebody that owns a business for something for free. You should actually be paying double. If you know the business owner, pay double. So I need a different price point than everybody else that knows you, Kailey.
Totally.
Okay, so there's a big initiative right now. I don't want to overlook it. I want to touch on it real quick on sustainability within your company. And I know you've gotten some pretty cool media attention about this. So can you give our listeners that maybe haven't seen this a little rundown?
Yeah, so essentially starting this company was when I first even realized that no ice cream pints on the market are actually recyclable. And so it's very similar to to-go coffee cups as well. Like none of those are recyclable. And so the reason for that is because even though they look like they're just paperboard, there's always this plastic lining on the inside to prevent it from leaking if it's got liquids inside of it. And so often people will say, but plastic is recyclable, paperboard is recyclable, like why isn't this together recyclable? And actually just requires some pretty extensive processing to pull those two apart. And that's not something that facilities have. So it is trash. And so learning that was very disheartening for me early on. And I did a ton of research to try and find like a more eco-friendly liner. It's a moisture barrier that I was looking for. And really the technology didn't exist. So we originally came to market with the best sustainable option that I could find, which was just a plant-based plastic lining, and then the paperboard itself was post-consumer recycled paperboard. And then our carton shapes are very unique in that they don't have that extra lid. They just have a full top. So that reduces the amount of material needed in general. But flash forward to a couple months ago, we actually were able to find a new supplier connected with a new company out of the UK who has developed this 100% plastic-free moisture barrier lining that we just launched with our ice cream cartons, which is the first ever recyclable and fully compostable and biodegradable ice cream carton on the market. So we are so happy to bring that innovation.
Who would have thought, again,
Right.
that a carton wasn't recyclable? For some reason, even in my mind, I think I see the recycling symbol on a carton, which could not be the case. It just doesn't exist.
Right.
So the fact that you were able to create this, that you saw an issue and a need, and then were able to eventually find a supplier of that and you kept it top of mind, even when it didn't truly exist, and you tried to innovate in your own way, that's really powerful. And I see your values coming out in your brand. And so looking forwards, because you have these never-ending values that are always, looking to be applied throughout your life. How does Sacred Serve evolve? How does your entrepreneurial spirit evolve? Like, what does Kailey's life look like potentially in 5 or 10 years from now?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd love to know where the business is going to be around then. But yeah, my goal has really been to build this business as large as we can. And then at that point, it feels like playing. I think that's where the freedom aspect comes into it, where you do have that financial security. You've already built something. You've made great contacts throughout that. And I would love to be able to invest in other brands at that point in time and really spend my time there. I think, as a woman founder coming up and going through fundraising, there's just a lot of different challenges. I think we're seeing a lot of the disparity in that fundraising cycle. And so I'd love to be a voice there after going through the challenges myself, be really able to kind of allocate capital towards missions that I really believe in. I think sounds the most rewarding for sure.
Well, I look forward to seeing that happen. And I will be a purchaser of Sacred Serve to hopefully throw some more money into the mix to make that happen.
Awesome.
How can our listeners find out more about you, get their palate stimulated by having some Sacred Serve?
Yeah.
Share the wealth.
Yeah, totally. So we have our website, www.sacredserve.com. And then I would say we're most active on Instagram, just at Sacred Serve. And we do have nationwide shipping from our website. But other than that, we're in retailers here in the Midwest, most notably Whole Foods, Plum Market, and Foxtrot. And then we did just launch into all the new Earth Fare stores in the Southeast, as well as Erewhon on the West Coast.
there's so much more to the story. I want to even talk about working with some
Yeah.
of these distributors and these retailers. I can only imagine what that's been like with having to, like, your first big shipment and what that looked like. And I know there are some changes in the recipe and stuff, so maybe we'll have you on in the future. If anyone wants answers to those questions, reach out to Kailey and or leave your questions in the comments. I'll tag her and hopefully she'll see them. But thank you so much for your time and your energy. This was a pleasure. This was literally a vegan, gluten-free, protein packed from coconut treat. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.